Emma sat alone on the creaking porch of the old house, the autumn wind tugging at her shawl as she stared at the empty driveway, her mind heavy with memories she wished she could touch again. 2 years had passed since her husband's sudden death, and though the world moved on around her, her home felt frozen in a haze of grief and quiet despair. The walls, once filled with laughter and chatter, seemed to echo only sadness now, carrying the faint remnants of family gatherings, holiday dinners, and birthday celebrations that had become distant, almost unreal in their absence. Emma's son, Liam, once a lively and talkative boy, had retreated into himself, his room becoming both his sanctuary and his prison, where the soft glow of his computer screen replaced the warmth of conversation and shared moments. She could hear the faint hum of his headphones as she sat outside, her heart aching to reach him, to break through the wall of silence that grief had built between them. Every morning, she woke with the same hollow feeling, the same longing for something, anything, that could restore the connection they had lost, something to remind them that even in sorrow life could still hold beauty. She remembered the small details of her husband's presence, the way he would make her tea just the way she liked it, the jokes he told that never failed to make Liam laugh, the simple moments of affection that seemed so ordinary but now felt priceless in their absence. Emma clutched the edge of the porch, feeling the rough wood under her fingers, imagining the sound of footsteps that once brought her joy, now replaced by an almost unbearable silence. She thought about the little things she could do to spark warmth again. Cooking Liam's favorite meals, leaving notes on his desk, trying to coax him out for walks or small outings, but each attempt felt like wading through invisible resistance. Liam, sensitive and perceptive, had been carrying his own storm of emotions, torn between missing his father, trying to understand the permanence of loss, and navigating the confusing world of teenage life, where friendships shifted and school pressures mounted. He had grown taller in these 2 years, his voice deeper, his expression often distant, yet Emma could see flashes of the boy she knew, glimpses of his former warmth in the corners of his smile or the way he lingered at the kitchen door before retreating. She yearned for a sign that they could reconnect, that the bond they shared could survive the weight of absence and sorrow. As she watched the wind sway the golden leaves, memories of family vacations floated through her mind. Sandy beaches where they laughed at each other's clumsiness, camping trips where the nights were filled with stories around the fire, simple walks in the park where Liam's hand had always been within hers. Each memory was bittersweet, a reminder of what had been and what could possibly be again. The ache of loneliness pressed on her chest, a constant companion, yet she refused to let it define their lives. She tried to imagine a future where laughter returned to the house, where conversations flowed without effort, where they could find joy in the small, ordinary moments once more. Emma thought about reaching out to distant relatives, old friends, even neighbors, but pride and fear of intrusion often held her back. She wanted the healing to feel organic, something that would naturally bring them together, something unexpected that could pierce through the fog of grief and uncertainty. Her gaze drifted to the driveway again, her thoughts filled with longing and cautious hope, when a sharp knock at the door broke the rhythm of the afternoon. Emma startled, her heart skipping a beat, unsure of what to expect, and for a moment she hesitated, half expecting a mistake or an unwelcome visitor. Taking a deep breath, she rose from the porch, her hand trembling slightly as she opened the door to find a young delivery boy standing there, holding a large, beautifully wrapped package. There was no return address, no note indicating the sender, only her name written carefully on the package in neat handwriting. Emma's mind raced. Was this a mistake, a prank, or perhaps something meant specifically for her? She felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness, her pulse quickening with the anticipation of discovery. "I have a delivery for you, ma'am," the boy said, his voice polite but hesitant. Emma smiled faintly, nodded and signed for the package, her fingers brushing against the paper, feeling its smooth texture, sensing the weight of the unknown inside. She thanked him, closed the door, and placed the box carefully on the kitchen table, her curiosity now fully awakened. Liam, hearing the commotion, peeked from the doorway, his eyes narrowing with curiosity and suspicion. "What is it?" he asked, his voice cautious but tinged with interest, stepping closer to examine the mysterious package. Emma shook her head, feeling a spark of something she hadn't felt in a long time. A sense of adventure, a glimmer of hope that perhaps life had something in store for them beyond their grief. Together they sat at the table, the afternoon sun streaming through the windows, casting a warm glow on the package as if encouraging them to unveil its secrets. Emma carefully untied the ribbons and removed the paper, revealing a box of fine craftsmanship, sturdy and elegant, its design intricate yet understated, giving a sense of importance to whatever lay inside. Liam leaned in, eyes wide, the corners of his mouth twitching with anticipation, while Emma's hands trembled slightly as she lifted the lid. Inside, nestled in delicate tissue, was a photo album unlike any she had ever seen. The cover was soft leather, embossed with a subtle floral pattern, the pages thick and inviting. As she opened it, she gasped softly. Each page contained photographs she did not recognize at first, images of people and places that seemed distant in time yet somehow familiar, like echoes of her own history whispered back to her. There were candid moments of smiling faces, small celebrations, handwritten notes in the margins, delicate sketches, and fragments of stories frozen in ink. Emma's eyes filled with tears as she realized this album was more than just pictures. It was a bridge, a connection to the past, a link to family she had never truly known. She called Liam over, showing him the photos, pointing out faces and names, and together they began to explore the stories woven into the pages. Slowly, he leaned closer, his usual reserve softening as he began to comment, ask questions, and share observations, bridging the distance that had grown between them over the long, silent years. Laughter bubbled up unexpectedly, small at first, but growing as they discovered shared traits, familiar expressions, and the quirky habits of ancestors long gone. They marveled at the resemblance of Liam to distant relatives, at Emma's own features mirrored in faces she had never met. With each turn of the page, a warmth returned to the room, a spark of connection reigniting the bond that grief had strained but not broken. Yet, as they reached the final pages, their excitement paused when they found a single photograph that neither of them recognized. A person smiling gently, standing in a sunlit garden, their identity a mystery. Emma's brow furrowed, curiosity mixing with a sense of wonder, while Liam's eyes widened in intrigue, both silently questioning who this person was and why they had been included in their family's story. That evening, as the sun set and the shadows lengthened across the room, Emma sat back, feeling a strange combination of exhilaration and anticipation. She realized that the gift was more than a simple package. It was an invitation, a call to explore their past, to connect with forgotten relatives, and perhaps to find themselves in the process. Liam, sitting beside her, seemed unusually quiet, but Emma could sense the thoughts racing behind his gaze, the possibility of adventure and discovery stirring something deep within him. Together, mother and son shared a moment of quiet understanding, the kind that transcends words, where the presence of each other becomes a silent promise of resilience, love, and hope. Emma closed her eyes for a moment, breathing in the warmth of this unexpected experience, knowing that their journey had only just begun. The mystery of the gift, the unknown figure in the photograph, and the stories waiting to be uncovered promised to lead them through new emotions, new revelations, and a rekindling of a bond that had been tested by grief and time. As night fell outside, the house no longer felt empty. Instead, it seemed full of possibilities, of laughter yet to come, and of memories waiting to be rediscovered. Emma and Liam sat together, the photo album open on the table, hearts beating with anticipation and minds alive with questions, silently agreeing to embark on this journey together, knowing that the surprise that had arrived on their doorstep could very well change everything for them. And as they looked at each other, sharing a quiet smile, there was an unspoken understanding that this was the beginning of something extraordinary, a moment that would mark the start of healing, discovery, and perhaps even a new chapter in the story of their family, one that would bring them closer than they had ever been before. A journey sparked by the simplest of gestures, a gift that carried within it the promise of connection, hope, and the enduring power of love. Emma and Liam could hardly sleep that night, the mysterious photo album resting on the kitchen table as if it were a beacon calling them to uncover more of the secrets it held. The house, which had felt so quiet and cold for years, now hummed with a subtle energy, a mixture of anticipation and unease, as if it sensed the turning point in their lives. Morning came with the sunlight spilling through the curtains, illuminating the dust motes in the air, and Emma found herself reaching for the album again, unable to resist the pull of curiosity, while Liam, surprisingly eager, joined her, leaning over her shoulder as she carefully turned the pages once more. The photographs revealed more than simple faces and frozen smiles. They held glimpses of emotions, moments caught in time that spoke louder than words ever could. Grandparents laughing at a picnic, parents holding newborns, cousins playing games in long-forgotten gardens, each image telling a story of love, joy, and struggles faced in silence, a tapestry of life that had quietly shaped who they were without them even realizing it. Emma's eyes fell on a photo of a family gathering in an old wooden house, the walls adorned with decorations that seemed familiar in a way that stirred something deep inside her. She traced the outlines of faces with her finger, noting the similarities in expressions, the same curve of a smile, the tilt of a head, the eyes that seemed to hold the same gentle warmth as Liam's. She realized that these photographs were more than just memories. They were keys, pieces of a puzzle connecting her and her son to generations that had come before, to traditions that had faded over time, and to stories that had remained untold until now. Liam, who rarely spoke about feelings, found himself opening up as they explored the pages together, pointing out details, asking questions, sharing observations about the people in the photos, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, the distance between them began to shrink. His usual guarded demeanor softened, and Emma could feel the invisible wall of grief between them starting to crumble, replaced by a sense of wonder and connection. Each note tucked into the pages, written in delicate handwriting, added layers to the photographs, revealing small anecdotes about birthdays celebrated with laughter, hardships endured quietly, loves found and lost, dreams nurtured in secret, and moments of tenderness that transcended the ordinary. Emma read each note aloud, her voice trembling with a mixture of awe and emotion, while Liam listened intently, his eyes wide as he absorbed the stories of people he had never met but already felt connected to. The sense of discovery was intoxicating, pulling them deeper into a world that felt both distant and immediate, a world where the past and present intertwined, reminding them that family was more than just the people who lived under one roof. It was the bonds that endured across time, the shared experiences that shaped identity, and the love that persisted even through absence and loss. As they turned the pages, the photograph of the unknown figure from the end of the album resurfaced, and both mother and son paused, their fingers hovering over the image as a wave of curiosity and emotion washed over them. The figure, standing in a sunlit garden, radiated a sense of calm and wisdom, someone who seemed to understand life in a way that was both comforting and mysterious, someone whose presence in the album hinted at stories yet to be uncovered. Emma felt a tug in her heart, a desire to know who this person was and why they had been included, while Liam's curiosity was equally piqued, his mind buzzing with questions, possibilities, and the thrill of a shared secret waiting to be revealed. Determined to uncover the truth, they began to investigate the small details in the photograph, the style of clothing, the surroundings, the expressions on nearby faces, and any subtle hints that could reveal the identity of the stranger, piecing together clues as if they were detectives on a mission, each discovery heightening their anticipation and drawing them closer together. Their search led them to examine old letters tucked into the album, each one a fragment of a story left behind by ancestors who had lived, loved, and struggled long before Emma and Liam were born. The letters spoke of personal sacrifices, unspoken dreams, forbidden romances, and challenges faced with quiet strength, offering a window into the humanity that connected generations. Emma found herself reading aloud passages about longing, heartbreak, joy, and hope, her voice filled with empathy as Liam listened, sometimes interrupting with questions or observations that sparked discussion and reflection. In one letter, a grandmother wrote about the difficulties of raising children while maintaining a sense of self, describing moments of exhaustion, fear, and determination that resonated deeply with Emma, who had experienced similar feelings in her own life. Liam, reading alongside her, began to see the parallels between past and present, realizing that his own struggles with grief and growing up were part of a larger story, one that connected him to people he had never met but who had walked similar paths. The process of discovery became almost addictive. The more they uncovered, the more they wanted to learn, each revelation offering insight, comfort, and the occasional spark of humor, as they stumbled upon candid snapshots of family members caught in awkward moments or playful antics that reminded them that life, despite its hardships, was full of joy and laughter. Emma and Liam began to talk more openly, sharing their feelings, memories, and fears with each other, bridging the gap that years of grief had created. The photo album acted as a catalyst, encouraging dialogue, understanding, and emotional connection in a way nothing else had managed to achieve. They laughed together at old family fashions, cried together at stories of loss and resilience, and marveled at the strength and love that had carried their ancestors through difficult times, all while feeling a renewed sense of belonging and purpose in their own lives. Even mundane moments became meaningful: the way they sipped tea while examining a photograph, the quiet discussions over handwriting analysis, the small bursts of laughter that escaped during particularly humorous discoveries, each moment weaving a new layer into the fabric of their relationship, reinforcing the idea that family was not only about shared genetics but shared experience, understanding, and emotional intimacy. Yet despite the joy and connection they were experiencing, the mystery figure remained an enigma, a soft thread of suspense that pulled them forward, compelling them to continue searching, questioning, and imagining the life that person had lived, and how it intersected with their own story. The unknown figure represented more than just a missing relative. It symbolized the untold stories, the hidden histories, and the possibilities of connection that life still held, reminding Emma and Liam that even in sorrow and isolation, there were opportunities for discovery, reconciliation, and love. As the day turned into evening, the room filled with golden sunlight, Emma and Liam realized that the simple act of exploring a photo album had transformed their day, their mood, and their relationship. It had breathed life into a home that had long felt empty, and it had rekindled a spark of hope, curiosity, and emotional intimacy that neither of them had expected. Dinner was forgotten as they sat together, completely absorbed in the unfolding narrative of their family, the boundaries between past and present blurring, and the sense of isolation that had dominated their lives for so long slowly dissipating, replaced by the warmth of shared discovery and the anticipation of more secrets waiting to be revealed. Even when fatigue finally set in, they could not put the album away completely, returning to it intermittently, each glance reigniting curiosity, each turn of the page renewing a sense of closeness and shared purpose. As night settled outside, Emma felt a profound gratitude for the unexpected gift, realizing that it was far more than a box of photographs. It was a bridge to understanding, a spark for connection, and a gentle hand guiding them toward healing and unity. Liam, sitting beside her on the worn kitchen chair, felt a similar sense of awe, recognizing that this discovery had opened a door to emotions and stories he had long buried, and that by exploring them together, he and his mother were forging a new chapter in their lives, one filled with communication, laughter, and the rekindling of trust and love. They both knew that the journey had only begun, that the mystery of the final photograph and the stories embedded in the letters and pages would continue to draw them forward, encouraging exploration, reflection, and emotional growth. In that quiet, dimly lit kitchen, surrounded by photographs and memories, mother and son shared a moment of silent acknowledgement, a mutual understanding that the past, present, and future were intricately connected, and that through discovery and storytelling, they could rebuild the bond that grief had once strained. Emma closed the album for the night, her fingers lingering on the cover as if feeling the heartbeat of the family it represented, while Liam leaned against her, tired but satisfied, their connection deepened by the shared experience, and the promise of more revelations to come hung in the air, soft but insistent. And as they finally went to bed, a sense of anticipation lingered, a quiet excitement for the next day, the next page, and the next secret waiting to be uncovered, a reminder that love, family, and understanding could be rediscovered in the most unexpected ways, and that this simple gift, arriving without warning, had already begun to change their lives in ways neither of them could have imagined, setting them on a path toward unity, emotional healing, and the gentle youth. Next morning, Emma and Liam could hardly contain their curiosity as they returned to the mysterious photograph of the unknown figure, feeling an unusual mix of excitement and apprehension that made their hearts race. They studied every detail: the shape of the garden, the sunlight falling through the branches, the gentle expression on the figure's face, and the subtle details in the clothing that suggested a time long past, all of which hinted at a story waiting to be uncovered, a life that had once intertwined with theirs in ways they could not yet understand. Determined to solve the mystery, Emma began to search the notes and letters that had accompanied the album, carefully reading each one aloud to Liam, who listened intently, leaning in closer than he had in years, the bond between mother and son strengthened by the shared pursuit of answers. The letters revealed small, intimate glimpses into lives that had been lived in secrecy or silence, stories of love, heartbreak, resilience, and sacrifice that seemed both distant and achingly familiar. One letter told of a woman named Claire, a distant relative who had vanished from family records decades ago, leaving behind only fragments of her life and the hope that someday her story would be found and appreciated. Emma's voice trembled as she read Claire's words describing her struggles with loneliness, the longing for acceptance, and the heartbreak of leaving loved ones behind in order to protect them from scandal, while Liam, captivated by the narrative, asked questions that forced them both to confront the realities of love, loss, and the courage it took to make difficult decisions. They discovered that Claire had written letters not only for the family she had left behind but also for generations yet to come, anticipating that someday, someone would stumble upon her words and understand the choices she had made, the sacrifices that had been necessary, and the love that had endured despite distance and absence. Each letter was filled with emotion, recounting both joyful moments and painful memories, the kind of stories that made Emma's eyes mist and Liam's heart ache with empathy. Together, they laughed at Claire's humorous recollections, cried over her misfortunes and marveled at her strength, feeling an almost spiritual connection to someone they had never met, yet somehow knew through the essence of her words and the legacy she had left behind. As they pieced together the clues, they realized that the mysterious photograph had captured Claire in a moment of quiet reflection, perhaps a time when she had been thinking of the family she loved yet could not be with. Her serene smile and warm gaze a testament to the enduring bond that transcended time and circumstance. The more they learned, the more Emma and Liam understood that Claire's story was not only about the past but about the present as well, about how the choices of one person could ripple across generations, shaping identities, relationships, and the way a family perceived itself. Their discussions became deeper, more personal, as they reflected on their own lives, comparing their struggles with grief, longing, and the search for connection to the experiences documented in Claire's letters. The act of exploring her story became a mirror, showing them both how to navigate their own emotions and the path forward. In one particularly poignant letter, Claire described a garden she had tended with care, a place where she had spent countless hours thinking about the family she could not reach, imagining their futures, and leaving messages hidden in small gestures for those who might one day find them. Emma and Liam realized that the photograph had captured this very garden, a symbol of hope, love, and continuity, and the presence of the figure in the photo represented not an ending but a bridge between past and present. Emma felt a wave of gratitude and wonder, understanding that Claire had intentionally created this connection for them, anticipating that the discovery of her life would bring healing, insight, and renewed love into the home she had never physically visited, but had touched so profoundly. Liam, usually reserved and cautious, became animated as he imagined Claire's life, the challenges she faced, the decisions she had to make, and the love she had carried silently, and he began to share his thoughts openly, revealing emotions and reflections he had not expressed in years, further deepening their bond as mother and son. The investigation led them to trace Claire's movements through distant towns, old records, and local anecdotes, piecing together a journey that had taken her far from home yet kept her heart tethered to the family she could not openly join. They marveled at the courage it must have taken to live such a life, balancing personal sacrifice with the desire to leave something meaningful behind. Each discovery brought new revelations and a renewed sense of purpose, as Emma and Liam realized that the journey was not just about uncovering the past but about understanding themselves, their resilience, and the importance of nurturing the connections that remained, the family ties that had survived despite absence and time. They laughed together over minor discoveries, funny coincidences in facial features, quirky habits shared across generations, or amusing anecdotes buried in letters, while also pausing to reflect on moments of profound sadness, the tragedies and losses that had shaped their ancestors and, by extension, themselves. Emma felt her heart open wider than it had in years, recognizing that the gift of the album was not only a portal to the past but a catalyst for transformation, a means to mend her relationship with Liam, and an invitation to embrace life fully, despite grief and uncertainty. Liam, inspired by the stories he heard, began to share memories of his father, recounting little-known details and feelings he had kept hidden, allowing them both to heal through conversation, empathy, and the realization that love and family were enduring forces, even in the face of sorrow and absence. The mysterious photograph continued to intrigue them, serving as both a puzzle and a guiding light, leading Emma and Liam to understand that some connections were not immediately visible, but could be felt through intention, storytelling, and emotional presence. Claire's life, documented so carefully in letters and images, became a map for navigating the complexities of love, loss, and familial bonds, and it inspired them to seek the stories still hidden in their own home. The untold histories, waiting to be discovered in photographs, diaries, and memories. As they delved deeper, they began to uncover patterns, hints of Claire's influence on other relatives, and the subtle ways in which her life had intersected with theirs without them ever knowing. An unexpected lineage of resilience, compassion, and strength that seemed to flow through the family tree, culminating in the bond that Emma and Liam were rediscovering between themselves. The process of discovery was immersive, emotional, and almost hypnotic. Hours passed unnoticed as they pored over letters, photographs, and notes, each revelation sparking new questions, fresh insights, and moments of connection that transcended the boundaries of time, distance, and loss. Emma found herself reflecting on the lessons hidden in Claire's experiences. Patience, empathy, courage, and the importance of leaving a legacy of love and understanding. Liam, inspired by his mother's insight and his own engagement with the material, began to imagine the future differently, one where he and his mother could face challenges together, drawing strength from the past and from each other. As evening approached, they realized that the album had not only revealed a distant relative, but had also uncovered a wealth of emotional richness and complexity in their own lives, prompting conversations about dreams deferred, regrets, aspirations, and the simple yet profound ways in which love and family shape identity over time. With each letter read, each photograph studied, and each story pieced together, Emma and Liam felt the walls of grief and distance crumble further, replaced by understanding, empathy, and the quiet thrill of uncovering a shared heritage that had been waiting patiently for them to discover. They planned their next steps carefully, considering how to trace Claire's remaining connections, reach out to descendants, and explore the legacy she had left behind, all while savoring the emotional growth and reconnection that the process had already brought into their lives. Even mundane moments became extraordinary. Sipping tea together, pausing to discuss a single detail in a letter, or reflecting silently on a photograph now carried weight and meaning, transforming ordinary routines into shared experiences that reinforced the strength of their relationship. Emma marveled at how a single unexpected gift, an album, could open a door to such profound emotional discovery, healing, and reconnection, and she felt a renewed sense of hope that their lives were now on a path toward wholeness and joy. Liam, once withdrawn and hesitant, now spoke freely, shared openly, and laughed without reservation, the gift acting as a catalyst for emotional transformation, inspiring confidence, curiosity, and a willingness to embrace life and family fully. As night fell, the soft glow of the lamp illuminated the pages of the album, the photographs and letters casting long shadows that seemed to dance with the stories they contained, while Emma and Liam sat together, hearts full, minds buzzing with questions, and spirits lifted by the discovery that they were part of a larger, enduring story of love, resilience, and connection. They realized that the photograph of the mysterious figure was more than a puzzle. It was an invitation, a challenge, and a gift of perspective, reminding them that the past and present could coexist beautifully, and that understanding their roots could illuminate their path forward. The emotional journey they had embarked upon was far from over, with each revelation bringing new mysteries, deeper connections, and the sense that family, love, and shared history were living forces capable of healing even the deepest wounds. In the quiet moments before sleep, Emma and Liam exchanged glances of understanding, the bond forged through exploration and empathy stronger than ever, silently acknowledging that Claire's story had brought them closer, rekindled their own love and trust, and set them on a journey that promised discovery, healing, and the enduring magic of family connections that could not be broken by time, distance, or loss. They closed the album carefully, but unlike before, it felt alive with potential, with unspoken stories waiting patiently to be revealed, and both mother and son knew that this journey was only beginning, that the next step, finding the living connections to Claire, would bring even greater revelations, emotions, and perhaps the ultimate sense of belonging they had both been searching for. The evening ended with quiet anticipation, a shared sense of purpose, and the gentle realization that even the smallest gestures, a gift, a letter, a photograph, could change lives profoundly, and that through curiosity, empathy, and love, Emma and Liam were discovering the true depth and power of family, the kind that lasts across generations and hearts alike. Emma and Liam woke early with an unshakable sense of purpose, the photograph of the mysterious figure, and the letters from Claire urging, them forward as if whispering that the final piece of the story could be found beyond the walls of their home, and with renewed determination, they began tracing the clues that would lead them to living connections of the woman whose life had become an unexpected guide for their own. The journey felt thrilling and slightly surreal, as if stepping into a storybook where each turn of the road held secrets waiting to be revealed, and with each mile traveled, Emma felt her heart lighten, realizing that the curiosity which had once been tinged with sorrow was now filled with anticipation, hope, and a profound sense of familial purpose. Liam, usually quiet and reserved, became animated, pointing out landmarks, making observations, and occasionally laughing at the coincidences they discovered, such as a garden in a small town that matched the one in Claire's photograph, or a letter dated exactly 20 years prior that spoke of a visit to a market still bustling today. And with each connection their excitement grew, reinforcing the sense that they were on the verge of something extraordinary. They followed leads from town to town, consulting old records, speaking with elderly locals who remembered Claire or her relatives, and piecing together the threads of her life like detectives uncovering a hidden tapestry, each encounter offering fragments of information that added depth, color, and texture to the story that had begun with a single photograph. As they gathered more details, they realized that Claire had a granddaughter named Sophie, who had remained close to the remnants of the family's history and had preserved letters, photographs, and stories that Emma and Liam had only just begun to explore. The realization sparked a new level of anticipation, for meeting someone who had lived directly in Claire's shadow promised answers, insight, and perhaps even the missing connection that the mysterious photograph had hinted at. When they finally arrived at Sophie's home, a modest but warm house nestled at the edge of a small village, Emma and Liam felt their hearts race, unsure how the meeting would unfold but certain that it would be transformative. Sophie opened the door with a tentative smile, her eyes bright and curious, as if she had been expecting them, and immediately, the atmosphere filled with a sense of recognition and shared history, as though the presence of one another completed a circle that had been left open for decades. Introductions were made, but words felt almost unnecessary at first, for the connection was palpable, a silent acknowledgement of shared roots, of stories lived and preserved, and of the long-awaited fulfillment of Claire's subtle intention to unite her family through generations. Emma handed Sophie the photograph and letters, and as Sophie examined them, her eyes glistened with emotion, laughter and tears mingling as she recognized details, names, and moments that had been kept close to her heart but never fully shared. Together, the three of them began to recount memories, fill in gaps, and weave together the stories that had been scattered across time, realizing that the journey had already begun to heal wounds, rekindle love, and strengthen the bonds that had been weakened by distance, grief, and absence. Liam, usually hesitant to share his feelings, found himself talking freely with Sophie, asking questions, offering insights, and even laughing at shared experiences that mirrored tales told in the letters, while Emma listened with pride and relief, feeling the walls of isolation that had enclosed their home dissolve in the warmth of connection, understanding, and mutual respect. The afternoon passed in a blur of storytelling, laughter, and reflection, with Sophie showing them the places Claire had loved, the letters she had preserved, and the mementos she had collected over a lifetime, each piece reinforcing the sense that Claire's life had been rich, complex, and deeply intertwined with the family she had never fully met, and that her intention to unite them had succeeded in ways subtle, profound, and emotionally transformative. They discovered shared traits, familiar gestures, and family quirks that span generations, and with each revelation, Emma and Liam felt a sense of belonging they had not experienced in years, a realization that family was far larger than their immediate household, and that love, even when separated by time or circumstance, could endure, flourish, and bring people together in the most unexpected ways. As evening approached, they gathered in Sophie's living room, the walls adorned with photographs, heirlooms, and letters, a physical testament to a life lived with care, intention, and love, and together they reflected on the journey that had begun with a simple, mysterious gift on Emma's doorstep, marveling at how it had led them to emotional healing, understanding, and a reconnection that neither mother nor son had anticipated but both deeply cherished. Emma felt a profound sense of gratitude, realizing that the surprise gift had not only revealed Claire's story, but had reignited her relationship with Liam, offering opportunities for communication, shared laughter, and mutual support that had been dormant for years, and she silently promised herself to honor the legacy of love and connection that Claire had entrusted to them. Liam, inspired by the experience, shared memories of his father, thoughts he had never expressed, and feelings he had long suppressed, creating a space for vulnerability and intimacy that strengthened the bond between mother and son, and allowed them to envision a future where emotional openness, shared experiences, and mutual understanding formed the foundation of their relationship. As night fell, the three of them stepped outside into the quiet village streets, the air crisp and fragrant, carrying with it a sense of history, continuity, and the subtle thrill of belonging. They walked slowly, exchanging stories, laughter, and reflections, feeling the invisible threads of family weave them together, connecting past and present in a tapestry that was at once comforting, inspiring, and transformative. Emma noticed how Liam's face had softened, his usual reticence replaced by curiosity, empathy, and joy, and she felt a deep satisfaction knowing that the journey had achieved more than just answers to a mystery. It had restored a sense of unity, purpose, and hope that would carry them forward in life. Sophie shared her own experiences, recounting the challenges, joys, and quiet moments of her life shaped by the legacy of Claire, and Emma and Liam listened, understanding that this meeting was not an endpoint but a continuation of the story, one that would evolve, grow, and deepen as they maintained the connection forged that day, honoring the past while embracing the possibilities of the future. The reunion prompted discussions about family traditions, values, and stories that could be passed down to future generations, and Emma and Liam realized that the unexpected gift had set in motion not only a personal journey of healing but a broader commitment to preserve and celebrate the family's shared heritage, ensuring that the lessons, love, and experiences of their ancestors would endure. Together, they explored old letters and photographs, piecing together the narrative of Claire's life with increasing clarity, discovering acts of courage, moments of vulnerability, and expressions of love that transcended time, each revelation deepening their appreciation for the resilience of their family and the interconnectedness of their own lives. Emma and Liam experienced a profound emotional shift, recognizing that grief, loss, and distance could be softened by connection, understanding, and the willingness to explore the stories that shape identity, while Sophie's presence affirmed the power of curiosity, empathy, and the simple act of reaching out to preserve and honor relationships that might otherwise have been forgotten. As they prepared to leave Sophie's home that evening, the trio felt a sense of completion tempered with anticipation, knowing that the journey would continue through shared communication, visits, and storytelling, but also feeling a quiet contentment that the mysteries that had weighed on Emma and Liam's hearts were now illuminated with understanding, love, and connection. Emma and Liam returned home, the album now a cherished treasure, not only because of the photographs and letters it contained, but because it had been the spark that ignited their emotional healing, restored their bond, and introduced them to living relatives who would enrich their lives with stories, love, and companionship. That night, as they sat in the glow of their kitchen light, flipping through the album once more, Emma and Liam reflected on the journey. The excitement of discovery, the tenderness of shared emotion, the laughter and tears, and the ultimate realization that family was an enduring force, capable of overcoming distance, grief, and time when nurtured with care, curiosity, and love. The photograph of Claire, once a mystery, now felt like a guiding presence, a symbol of the love that connects generations, the courage to make difficult choices, and the joy of discovery that can transform hearts and relationships. Emma looked at Liam, his face illuminated with soft light, a smile tugging at the corners of his lips, and she felt a surge of gratitude and relief, knowing that the bond between them had been restored, strengthened, and renewed, and that the gift had accomplished far more than either of them could have imagined when it first arrived. Liam, feeling the warmth of connection not only with his mother but with newfound family, whispered softly about how much he had learned, how his heart felt lighter, and how the stories of the past had inspired him to embrace life, love, and family in ways he had never considered before. Emma's eyes filled with tears of joy and fulfillment, recognizing that the journey had transformed them, and that the legacy of Claire's life, preserved in letters, photographs, and memory, had created a ripple effect that would continue to touch generations, teaching them about resilience, empathy, and the enduring power of love. Together, mother and son sat in quiet reflection, the house no longer feeling empty but alive with possibility, connection, and hope, knowing that the simple act of receiving a surprise gift had led to profound discoveries, emotional healing, and the reunion of family across time, distance, and generations. The evening air was calm, the shadows soft, and yet the feeling of anticipation lingered, a gentle reminder that life's most meaningful journeys often begin with the smallest, most unexpected gestures, and that through openness, courage, and love, Emma and Liam had not only discovered a hidden chapter of their family's story, but had also written a new chapter for themselves, one filled with understanding, closeness, and the enduring magic of family reunited in heart, mind, and spirit.